Hello, everybody. Welcome along to our Cheltenham 2023 preview, where I'm delighted to be once again joined by last year's panel of Jack and Tom of JTW Equine Images. Lads, how are we? And also, good to have you on again this year.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
much,
much,
Luca.
Luca.
Good to be here.
Pleasure to be here as well. Let's get cracking.
Perfect. Right. So we're going to go through each day independently. I think that's the plan anyway. But we'll kick things off with the Supreme Novices Hurdle. And we can start off looking no further than the current 2-1 favourite, Facel Vega, who up until Leopardstown and the Dublin Racing Festival last time out, the prep seemed to be going very well. Of course, champion bumper winner last season. However, the race at Leopardstown last time was where the hiccup occurred. He went out like a light, effectively, and the petrol gauge just went whoosh. The comments post race were the most intriguing comments for me, and the comments I took away really from that was the fact that Willie Mullins came out and said that Paul Townend rode the horse like a machine, not like a racehorse. Jack, we'll start off with you. His last run was very concerning. Would you forgive him for that? And is he your idea of the Supreme winner this year?
Well, to be short and quite frank about it, Luca, I can't forgive him for that. Well, it's not so much I can't forgive him. It's more of a, if I were putting a substantial amount of money, would I want to bet on a horse that bombed out last time and came fifth? And the simple fact of the answer is no. So instead, I am actually on Marine Nationale for this. As part of a Cheltenham Festival preview that myself and Tom have also done for Past the Wire. I was tasked with writing up a little preview for it, obviously. We've sent some images across as well, and we've done the write-up. And whilst doing that write-up, I actually found out that the last time any horse has done the Royal Bond and Supreme Novices Hurdle double was 2002 with Like a Butterfly. So there's a lot of history that Marine Nationale has got to get over. Obviously, as well, the 100-day absence is a concern. And usually I wouldn't be able to say that's the winner of the Supreme, that horse that hasn't ran for 100 days by the time the race goes off. But I think one thing that has been said about the previews, apart from the fact the race that he travelled absolutely like a dream and he was a very worthy winner of the Royal Bond, the enthusiasm that Barry Connell, the trainer, has for this horse, you cannot deny that there is something there. I mean, this is a very mild-mannered man, and yet he is absolutely glowing about this horse. You know, that has to be worthy of note. So he is actually my pick.
Okay, and Tom, I know off camera you're very much in the camp with me of Ilatet Tomps, who in that Facile Vega race picked up the pieces but stuck on very strongly. Now, in my opinion, out of the two Mullins horses, he's the one I'm siding with. He's currently 13-2, and I believe that you echo my words completely, Tom.
Pretty much do so. I mean, this is a Supreme with so many different angles, so many different. Well, you've got one horse that's gone backwards, another horse has gone forwards. And to be able to find 6.5, that's value. And thinking what he's done, he hasn't exactly done anything wrong. So I would be absolutely firmly in there. Although I would say that Britain-wise, Tamurus, I'd love them to the syndicate in charge, No Feely Syndicate. I'd love them to have even a placing. I'd just love to see them picking up some prize money because they do deserve it. And also strong leader of Ollie Murphy's. I do really think that he's got a chance.
Okay, quick line
You
on
stole my,
Tamurus.
you
They
stole my thunder. I was going to say after you've had yours, Luca, that I was at Aintree with myself and Tom's dad in Aintree in December, rather, and he did very well. And the horse that he was second to at Cheltenham is one of the fancied horses for the champion bumper, a Canto Bruno. So he's a very nice each way. He's a 33-1 shot at the moment. Not been in graded races yet, but he is more than capable of running to his merits. I think, obviously, Luca, you've said off camera as well that this horse is quite a classy individual, as is his stablemate Chasing Fire, who's unbeaten for obviously Oliver Murphy, Ollie Murphy rather, and Diana Waitley. So yeah, those would be my two little each ways. But obviously they both need to be declared, and Declaration Day is coming up very soon. But yeah, that would be my last say on the matter.
Just a quick line on Tamuras. Dave Cross spoke to ITV today and basically said the ground's no problem. If it's quick, he'll run. Soft, he'll run, no problem. And also a quick line on Chasing Fire. I was at Sandown when he won last time out. Ollie Murphy post-race was very much straight for Supreme. Not much of a second thought, really. Just a quick line before we move into the Arkle. High definition, unseated last time. Can we see him playing any sort of part in this at a bigger price? Currently 12 to 1.
You watch, someone will have him like LeBake in a couple of years ago. And
Or
you watch,
Ebersine too. Many a moon ago, that was.
are you watching this, Stu? We're on to you. We're on to you, Stu. We know. Great man, that Stu.
Right, okay, that now brings us beautifully into the Arkle. Now, if you're a viewer here last year, you'll remember that John Bond took on a certain Constitution Hill. Two of the panel knocked Constitution Hill. The one guy believed in him, and the one guy was right after the Supreme. So I will hold my hand up with pride, and I will look back on that day with a big smile on my face. But this year's Arkle is an intriguing one anyway, because we've got John Bond, who's currently 13 to 8 favourite. Similar to what happened last season, I felt his prep to a certain stage went well, whereas we went back last year, his Haydock Run was workmanlike. This time it was at Warwick in the Kingmaker. Calico has since boosted the form, and people are saying, oh, the John Bond form's rock solid. But Boot Hill's been slammed in the Pendle since too. Look, John Bond could well end up being a good horse. I'd be happy to take him on with El Fabiola. I think his run at Leopardstown was very good, beat a very strong field too. But Jack, I'll start with you. You're a big John Bond fan. Make the case for us.
Right. Well, apart from the fact that I was lucky enough as part of a stable visit to go and see John Bond, and he looked fantastic. I actually do believe that the form that you've mentioned regarding Boot Hill being slammed, I honestly think this is simply Boot Hill being run at too many targets. He seems to be put in one race, that doesn't go to plan, so he goes to another. That doesn't go to plan, so it's a bit mixed up. He had a very hard race in the Lightning Novices Chase end of January in Doncaster, and then he tried to follow it up nearly a month later in the Pendle Novices Chase over 2.5. Now, you're asking somebody to follow up two very, very good novice chases, in my opinion. I mean, Solar was a brilliant winner of the Pendle. Tommy's Oscar is no slouch at Doncaster in the Lightning. But where I see that the most sort of criticism is obviously John Bond's most recent one. You know, here we are talking about John Bond, a multiple grade 1 winner, both over hurdles and fences. Yes, all right, it didn't go to plan. You know, I was one of those that had my heart in my mouth when I saw Calico going across and going along the back straight better than John Bond. But what I was impressed with was John Bond fought back. He had a battle and he's gained experience of that. Whereas in his previous 2 races, he had no experience of battling over fences. If we're going to talk about battling, he absolutely out-battles El Fabiolo again, who I'm sorry, just going to say it right now, I can't back because he belted 2 fences at Leopardstown. You belt 1 fence at Cheltenham, you've had it, especially the 2-mile chase and a grade 1 standard. So for me, because Henderson also said that John Bond was blowing after the race, he's had a proper race. He probably left him undercooked for Warwick, the Kingmaker. So he is my shout. Plus, I'm also going to say this now, I am incredibly biased. I was there at the sale with Tom when he sold for £570,000. I loved him then. I love him now.
Perfect.
End of discussion.
Wonderful. Tom, we'll get your view as well. And also, Tom, I'll throw you this curveball here. Dysart Dynamo's been mentioned by a few, could upset the apple cart potentially. Tom, can you see this happening and also make the case as well to conclude with for John Bond too?
On the Dysart Dynamo, no, because look at 3 out in last year's Supreme. I'd be cautious about taking him on. He may be a better chaser, but still going to be back in mind thinking, you know, he did do that.
Well, he showed it no respect. He showed the third lap no respect and paid the price.
John Bond, for example, has, for me, done nothing wrong. The form of that race at Doncaster with Calico, who stepped up, Nick Pearce, the representative from Dan Skelton Racing, was very surprised how much the horse had come forward. And that was mentioned in the article for Passerwire. So if other people looking for a bit of an angle, beat that. But yeah, I just think the form got boosted. So John Bond all the way.
Okay, for me, El Fabiolo, look, I get his jumping slight concern. He took a few fences home with him, but the forming behind him I don't think is too badly either. Do not sleep on Banbridge for the Turners against Mighty Potter. Look, I know Mighty Potter's a banker for the week, probably will be a banker, but Banbridge I think will run him close. Anyway, we're moving to the Ultima now. It's probably one of the handicaps where we can at least say we've got a cracking chance in it. I think you have to go back to 2007 when it was the William Hill Trophy in Dundera. Tony Martin and Ruby Walsh, I think, were the last Irish winner of this race. We'll kick things off quickly with Cormac Rambler, fourth in what was formerly known as the Hennessy. Look, he's well fancied for the Grand National. I could possibly see him running a huge race in that, with Lucinda Russell training one for Arthur a few years ago too. Would start things off, Jack, with Cormac Rambler. What do you think of him?
Well, he's £6 higher in his effort for a repeat bid. I like the horse, but again, I didn't fancy him last year, even though Luca, it probably was rider of the meeting last year.
On that small saddle, Derek Fox performed miracles, weaving his way through the field like a woman with a sewing machine, at least anyway.
Well, exactly. I did make a few notes of this. Cart Rambler did enter the equations, but he's £6 higher. And I do feel personally, you mentioned it yourself, the Grand National looks more likely for him. So as a result, I don't think he'll be fully tuned up for this. And especially, you wouldn't want to make him fully tuned for this and then end up having nothing for the Grand National. So for me, it moves me onto other horses. For example, Sam Brown, he's top weight at the moment, at least last time I looked. So I'm going to look elsewhere. Cocoa Beach has got some pretty good form, winning at Punchestown in the Grand National Trial, but he's £14 higher than that now. So we would need a really good conditional just to take £10 off, and I think he's vulnerable for that. Seen in the previews around Happy Go Lucky has a lot of support. It's not for me though. He's not for me rather. Remastered Career High Mark, having won last time out at Kempton. The one horse I like in this, though, was third to Our Power Ascot in October. He's only had one run over hurdles since the long walk at Ascot, so it's another long run to contend with. But his handicap mark over fences remains of interest at 147, and that is last year's fourth. T Clipper. I really fancy this horse. And I was looking at this, obviously, like I said, for the article, and he just leapt out at me. And I was thinking to myself, hold on, this season looks geared around this. I mean, he could have gone in many, many races. He could have gone for the big handicap chase in February at Kempton. He didn't. So he's my shout, T Clipper.
Perfect. I'll make a quick case for the horse who I fancy for this. I think it's been his long-term plan throughout the course of the season. And if you go back to 2015, and the Druid's Nephew, the race and the campaign basically mirror each other. It's Lord of Cord, as many people have probably guessed by now. Neil Mulholland trained. Started off the season quite well, winning at Cheltenham and a handicap over 3 miles. Was then runner-up at Wincanton in the Badger Beers behind Frodon. Couple of poor jumps along the way sort of crucified his chance of beating Frodon, but he then since last time out was last seen in the Cleve Hurdle to protect that chase mark. He's around about the 16-1 mark here. I think he's got a good chance, in my opinion. Neil Mulholland knows what he's doing here. It's been evidently clear it's their campaign against him. It's what the Druid's Nephew went through a couple of years ago when winning the Ultima as well. And he's my pick here. But Tom, to round things off, who would you be siding with in this?
Well, I'm going to go all the way back to December, and even actually further than that, to the end of November, when I was very, very privileged to be up at Newcastle for the Fighting Fifth Hurdle Day. No prize for guessing who was a star attraction that day. But I was really taken by a horse who finished second that day, who then went on a month later and stepped up. And on one hand, the connections were elated because they just won the Roland Merrick, as the name giveaway. But they were also gutted that this horse could not run in Kinmure. And that horse is Into Overdrive. He has the absolute guts for a battle. He's on the upgrade. And Connections did have a plan to run this horse over slightly further in the Kinmure, but now that he's simply too high in the ratings, they've decided to come here, and I think that was a very, very wise idea. It's running off 11.6. I appreciate that's a rather high, but has been done in the past, and I think this is definitely within his reach, especially if they do think he's a national horse for next year. So I'd be very happy to nail my colours to that mast, although I would be wary of Martin Brassel's Fast or Slow. There's another angle at that race as well. I think he's the main danger, but I definitely nail my colours to Into Overdrive.
And with Fast or Slow, I'm very, very sweet on Longhouse Poet for the National. So hopefully that is a sign of things to come anyway. Right, okay, so that will just bring us into the Champion Hurdle now. This could be quite short in my opinion. Constitution Hill, what needs to be said with him, really? He's just slammed everything that's lied before him. He was brilliant at Kempton at Christmas, fantastic at Newcastle before that, effortless in the Supreme. State Man is a fantastic course in his own right, and in probably any other era, he'd be a multiple champion hurdler, but he's just come along at the complete wrong time and bumped into a freak of nature. Constitution Hill, for me, wins this pretty comfortably, I think. You just can't see any chink in his armour. Lads, are you in agreement? Surely you must be.
Well, I mentioned that I was up at Newcastle.
Jack's gone out the shop, by the way, as well, for his picture.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was taken on the gallops at Seven Barrows for a recent yard visit. Did I tell I was jealous of that one, Jack? But yes, I was privileged to be up at Newcastle rather, when he did that emphatic performance, first time out in the season against. He made great horses look ordinary. He absolutely smashed a champion hurdler, and his jumping was electric. He was absolutely legs up, legs down. He reminded me of Bouvedere, the way he was going over them. And there's one at the last. He absolutely ate it for breakfast. He was just like, I like them. I'll have more of them. And he's just like, what? What, has everyone else finished? It was like he'd gone out for a canter. He's just and also his mannerisms. There's nothing to suggest that underneath that outer exterior is an engine of unsurpassed capability. He's just incredible. And I'm hopefully going to be hearing what I feel is maybe an inevitability. I'm going to say that it's dangerous to think there's a certainty in racing,
of course,
but I think this lad is bomb-proof.
Jack, we'll bring you into this now as well when you do appear back into the shot. A horse of the big price here who's been fancied by a couple to at least a very solid each way bet here, and actually well fancied in the market without the favourite. I like to move it. A former Greatwood Hurdle winner, was very impressive in the elite hurdle. I think it was at Wincanton last time, where he absolutely slammed. He absolutely slammed the Paul Nicholls horse, whose name has just escaped me at the complete wrong time. Now Nappers Hill, there we go. He slammed Nappers Hill fairly comfortably. Now, for whatever reason, in racing, stranger things have happened. If Constitution Hill dramatically has an off day, along with State Man, sorry, I like to move. It's got a good chance at a nice price, hasn't he?
Yes, indeed. I would just say I really don't like obviously correcting. I believe it was the Kingwell, not the Elite.
I get both confused.
But they're same distance and same grade, so it's
like
not surprising at the same track as well. Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm quite gutted that his name, I like to move it, keeps being mentioned by so many pundits. And I'm like, I thought I had a shrewd one there. Turns out how much I know. But yeah, I mean, I actually was lucky enough to speak to Sam Twiston-Davies a couple of weeks after. This is at Doncaster, and I asked how he was. He was supposed to run the week before the Sky Bet chase at Haydock, but that got called off due to the weather. And Sam just simply said the same things he said to ITV Racing on New Year's Day. You're asking a 2-miler to go 2.5 miles on a completely different track, so it's back to 2 miles for us. And look what happened. 16-1 is very nice, and we know he likes the old course with his Greatwood win. So yeah, absolutely, I can see him, and this is going to be a bold state request rather. I can see him finishing ahead of State Man and Vauban. I can see it being Constitutional wins by huge distance, and I like to move it second.
That's very interesting. Okay, that's perfect. That must bring us into the Mayor's Hurdle. Now, this is an interesting race for me. It looks a very, very good race too. We'll start off with Honeysuckle. Now, just a quick question for you guys before we delve deeper into her. Yes or no, do you think she's regressed? Both of you answer.
No.
I'm glad you say no, because if you go back to her first run of the season when she finished in behind Tiapu and also Classical Dream, in no way, shape or form was that a bad run. Tiapu on a softer surface is a very good horse, and if it comes up soft on the Thursday, he'll take a lot of stopping in the Stayers Hurdle. Also, Classical Dream in his time, being a former Supreme winner, on his day, he's a very classy horse. When he's in the mood, he can actually be a hard horse to beat as well. I didn't feel that run in the Irish Champion Hurdle either behind State Man was a bad run. State Man, in my opinion, is just a significantly better horse than Honeysuckle. But she still finished 5 lengths behind him. She didn't get slammed by 15 lengths either. I think she should have gone Champion Hurdle here. You go out on your sword, defend your crown. She gets beaten, fair enough. She's bumped into an absolute 1 in a million in Constitution Hill. I'm slightly disappointed she's gone to the mares. I think if Marie's Rock goes here, she wins this, although I want her to go to the stayers because after the rail kill, I was very keen on her stepping up against the 3 miles. But it looks like Tom Palin said ground will depend on that. Tom, where are you at with the mare's hurdle quickly?
I feel that there is one horse that is going to win that race. If Honeysuckle doesn't win, these would be huge scenes if Honeysuckle did win. I think that's Epitome. Look at the run that she had at Doncaster. I know we've mentioned Doncaster a few times, but these are just because we only have opportunities to go to them kind of courses. We're grateful for the access because it showcases in times like this. We've had Epatante slammed by Constitution Hill twice. She then goes and does the same in the Yorkshire Rose to very capable mares. She made them mares look ordinary, and we know that the mares behind weren't ordinary.
Yeah.
She went, and I'm not sure Nico even took her off the bridle. She just came through that race, pinged the last, off she went, home and hosed. And I still think there's a lot with Epatante. She's still got that fire in her belly. She's still capable of winning a race. And I think this could be a good one for her going up in trip.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to take after you, Tom. Just going to obviously just say the 2 pence worth. I was very taken with Epatante's performance. She looked lovely at home the other day. But I think Honeysuckle wins if Marie's Rock doesn't come here. But the one each way I would take from this is actually Queen's Brook, last year's second, I believe. I think she's shown the same level of form, and I'd take her for an each way. But obviously, if Marie's Rock shows up in this one, I would possibly just say that Marie's Rock wins this.
Quick line to the Irish horses here. Brandy Love, Echoes in Rain. Any case made for either of those 2 mares?
Only Echoes in Rain. I think Brandy Love goes to a different race, but no, that's that.
Love Envoy as well. The rain any rain that comes now looks to be in her favour. Where would you both think of what would your chances be with her?
Love Envoy for me. I think Love Envoy's chance will be done with a lot of won't be done as in that's it, no chance. But I think her chance will get there. If it's softer because she didn't exactly not appreciate the conditions last year, did she? Absolutely home and hosed last year in a very, very hot race.
Perfect. Okay, so it brings us now into the Boodles, a race that I haven't got the strongest of opinions on yet, and one I'm waiting for declarations before I probably decide what I fancy here. I'll give you a quick line on Sir Alan. I spoke to Cian Quirk, Kempton a couple of weeks ago when he would come over to ride Cap Nord. He rode to Alan a couple of times, and he basically said the horse should have a good chance. He thinks the step up in trip should be no problem, and grade as well. The horse that I look at here is very intriguing, and the rain will only solidify this horse's chances bad. A French horse coming over from France now, only lightly raced. Similar to the path that Gaelic Warrior trod last season, coming over here for his first start. I think he's currently off a mark of I think it's 142. No, 126. Sorry, it says here. So that looks a generous enough mark to some people. You have to go back to Au Petit Soir in 2015, the Coral Cup, for the last French horse to come over here on his first run and win at the festival. Rachel Blackmore is penciled in to ride too. Interesting jockey booking. What did you guys think of that?
Yeah, quite interesting. I'll be honest with you, I'm the same as you. I don't really have much of a viewpoint on this. I am waiting for declarations. The only one I've looked at so far, but again, I need to have a look at the declaration for nailing any colour to the mast. Is Perseus Way, just because of what he's done and the fact that even in January the connection said that he was going here. So yeah, I'm happy to
Perseus Way, Jack. I was there last time out. Did you think had he jumped the last better, he would have had a better chance of winning?
I mean, I'd be totally honest with you, mate. I didn't really hear a lot of that because the connection cut out.
Okay, with Perseus Way quickly. I was there at Kempton last time out in the Adonis. Did you think, well, had he jumped the last better, do you think he would have won?
No.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Tom, where are you sort of looking here and siding with anyway?
Well, again, I'm in your camp where I'm sat there thinking I'm just going to wait for declarations before I nail my colours to match. So I'm looking at a British pair of hopefuls. There's one horse that Paul Nichols thinks rather a lot of called Averdil, who, yes, is running the Victor Lador and wasn't quite what you were hoping for, where he finished down the field, but the trainer's representative said that the only explanation was it came too quick after his run at Musselburgh. But conveniently, the second of my looks here, the ones that I'm looking at, this is a Fil de Roi, and it's by O'Brien McPherson. In case anybody hasn't noticed, there's the old emblem.
This is all
But
pre-planned. This is all pre-planned. The merchandise.
yeah,
So
I would just love the yes, no, wait, sorries, and Fergal O'Brien McPherson. I'd love them to have a festival winner, and if that was the way, then bring it on.
Perfect. Okay. I'll make a case for another horse in that race too. It's a big price again. Ben Paulding trained Samuel Spade. 2 starts ago was beaten quite comfortably by Percy. Was beaten comfortably last time. 2 starts ago, sorry, by the other Gary Moore horse Perseus Way by 3 lengths. However, he was very impressive at Huntingdon last time. Made an absolute hash of the first hurdle though. My gosh, he just ploughed his way through that first hurdle, and it was an awful mistake. But he won by 16 lengths. He's got plenty of ability, plenty of zip. Was very good at Kempton over Christmas too. I wouldn't be surprised at him running a big race at 20-1. Now, finally, for our day one preview anyway, we'll wrap things up and look ahead to the National Hunt Chase, I do believe it is. It looks pretty simple on paper anyway. It looks like it's Gaillard du Mesnil's to effectively lose, although Tom is shaking his head in disagreement. Quick with Gaillard du Mesnil, we're still in the Grand National. If he wins or were to win well here, would he be on your short list for entry?
Yeah, because I picked him for this.
Too
Sorry to
short time
interrupt.
frame.
I picked him for this. I think he wins it. The only other thing I will say is mile the mission each way. But yeah, Gaillard du Mesnil to lose. It's his to lose, rather. Gaillard du Mesnil to win.
Tom, you're in disagreement, Tom, so we'll let you use up this last bit of time here to speak about your case against Gaillard du Mesnil.
So I think that certain Marla Mission has a lot more form and substance to his actual case. So he's last year's River Don winner. River Don is normally won by a horse that needs an absolute, they need to have the best mindset to stay in those conditions. And I think that he's got that one. Yes, he disappointed at Cheltenham somewhat, but since then he's gone and won another hurdle over 3 miles at Perth, which trainer McConnell tends to farm. Then he's also gone and done a fair bit of chasing, 4 runs, including one at Cheltenham in October, which is another meeting that McConnell likes to send horses over. But he came second in a Grade 2, the Chemical Energy, and I'm thinking it's not a bad prep run. Besides which, it says he's won in heavy, he's won in good ground before, so any distance, any ground. I think he's the one to give the favourite the most to think about.
Perfect. Okay, guys, we'll wrap up for day one. We're back very shortly to go through Champion Chase Day.
Woo.